Happy Monday, welcome back to Drinking by Myself. My name is Emma and this video is going to be a little different. This video is going to have nothing to do with books. It is not going to be my usual me being drunk and ridiculous. I'm actually going to be very uncharacteristically earnest with you in this video, so if that is not what you are subscribed for, that is fine. You don't have to be here, but I will counter me being very deep and meaningful with this amazing mug that Emma Tobias just sent me. How perfect is this? We both fit that criteria. It's my new favourite possession. So hopefully this should lighten the mood. This video I am making because actually my therapist kind of put this idea into my head. I've been having therapy for, well, on and off for years, to be honest, but I've been with this particular therapist for a few months. She's been really great and we kind of reached a really good turning point recently. It is not a secret to most of you, especially if you follow me on other social media other than here. You will know that I have been struggling with my mental health recently. I have not been in a good place, and I'm not gonna go into that. I don't want it to be triggering to some people, so we will just leave it as I have been in a really, really bad place. But with the help of therapy and also going on antidepressants, that was something that was right for me. I feel like I've reached a really good place. And after my most recent therapy session, where we had a really, really good conversation about how I was feeling, my therapist suggested that what I was saying and the kind of understanding of self-acceptance that I had reached was so useful, and she knows I have a YouTube channel, and she was like, just think how many other people might benefit from hearing that message. So that is why I'm doing this uncharacteristically earnest video. I feel a little cringe about it. It's going to be quite personal and quite weird, but hopefully there are people out there who will find this helpful. I think I could have really done with seeing a video like this when I was really struggling, which I will continue to do. I am not fixed. Feeling sad, feeling angry, feeling anxious is all just a part of being human, so that will continue to happen. But what I feel like I've currently reached is this place where I don't feel despair, and those negative emotions don't feel completely overwhelming to me. Okay, I don't know where to start at all. I haven't made any kind of notes for this, so we're just winging it. So I will say now, I do know that I'm definitely really privileged that I have access to these forms of help. So I got therapy through my health insurance that I have through work, and that was amazing that I have that. It only gave me access to short-term therapy, which I am now finishing. So I'm going to try and see what therapy options I can get next on the NHS. And I know that some places you will find there is a really, really long waiting list. Some other countries you won't have access to free therapy at all. So I know that this is an amazing privilege. It's also a privilege that it was very easy for me to get access to antidepressants. And I want to say something quickly about antidepressants. I'm not obviously a doctor, so I'm not going to go into detail on this because I'm very new to using them. I am not an expert. I do not know much about them, so I'm not giving any kind of advice or anything about antidepressants. I just kind of wanted to share my analogy. This is actually one that my friend gave me, but that I find really helpful to think about how I am planning to use antidepressants and therapy together. So I would say it's a bit like if you broke your leg and you had to go through physical therapy to relearn how to walk again. That is going to be really hard work. You're going to have to do that yourself with the help of doctors, but it is going to be effort. You are going to have to learn to walk again. Taking painkillers will not teach you to walk. You can't just take painkillers and sit on the sofa and magically learn to walk again. However, taking painkillers makes the physical therapy a hell of a lot easier, because if you're going through physical therapy and every step you take is agony, that is going to take longer. It might even be so overwhelming that you just can't do it. And that's kind of where I felt like I'd got to with therapy. I was just too overwhelmed, and taking the antidepressants has kind of been that painkiller for me. Now everything feels manageable. I don't feel like I'm drowning. I feel like I'm treading water, but I still have to go on the journey myself. How many metaphors did I just throw into one sentence? So that's just some context of where we are. But the main message that my therapist was saying would be really useful for me to share is about self-acceptance. So that is something that I was really struggling with, and I think a lot of people really struggle with. I have always thought of myself as someone who has very high self-esteem. I do feel very confident, but what I was kind of learning throughout this year as I was feeling lower and lower is that high self-esteem was very foundationless. I felt really, really confident about all of my good qualities, and I was able to see a lot of good qualities in myself, which I know not everybody can do. But I think this message will apply no matter whether you have high self-esteem or low self-esteem, because what actually happened to me is that as this year got harder and harder for everybody, and as I struggled more and more to be that person who I thought was doing so well, I found that my whole self-esteem completely evaporated, and suddenly I felt like I was this worthless person who wasn't doing anything good because I didn't have any of those qualities I'd been praising. So what I had to start from the beginning and do and rebuild was, instead of high self-esteem, just self-acceptance, taking all of my qualities, the ones that I thought were good, the ones that I thought were bad, completely taking those labels off them and just learning to love them as a whole package of what I am. So an exercise that my therapist had given me to do, which I'd been putting off because I did not want to do it, was to write a letter to myself. She said I could do it either a letter to my younger self or a letter to my present self, whatever kind of felt right. Just saying the things that I thought I needed to hear. And I kept putting that exercise off because I thought that what I was supposed to do was write this really lovely letter praising myself, and every time I tried, all of the drafts just felt so fake. I felt like I was writing what I was supposed to say, talk to yourself like you're talking to your best friend, and it didn't feel genuine and it didn't go in, it didn't reassure me at all. What I eventually did when I managed to get through a whole letter is I just wrote a bunch of truths about myself that I believed in, so the letter didn't feel fake. And it ended up being this incredible experience because I started writing a bunch of true characteristics that I think I have, no matter whether they're traditionally good or bad, and I suddenly felt so cheesy, but I felt like so full of warmth and love for myself, because writing all of those qualities down on paper, I was like, this is a full person, this is a full contradictory, muddled up person who is doing great. It honestly turned out to be such a lovely experience. So it might sound like something that you're like, oh god, I could never do that, and I relate, but if you feel like you're in a place where you can manage it, I do recommend trying and writing yourself that letter. And I've got my one here, and I might read it out. I haven't decided yet. I feel like I kind of want to read it. It's quite short, just to show you the kind of thing that I wrote, but then I also don't, because it's embarrassing. I don't want people making fun of me. Maybe I'll work up the courage to read it out at the end. The most important part of it, though, did come from that idea of having contradictions and not needing to fix those, because I think I'd always struggled with things that I liked about myself were that I can be very confident in lots of situations, but I also am very, very shy in other situations, and I had, over the last few years, really become increasingly paranoid and obsessed with the fact that I was shy, and really, really self-critical of the fact that I was shy, telling myself, you will not achieve things if you're shy, people will not like you if you're shy, and it was really chipping away at my idea of myself as confident. And then suddenly I realised, it was actually from a conversation I had with my mom, where she was telling me, you can be both things at once. You can have high self-esteem and low self-esteem at the same time. I realised I can be confident and I can be shy. I can be somebody, I think of myself as someone who does generally manage to smile and laugh in any situation, even when things are difficult. I manage to find it fun and I just giggle away and make things better. But I am also someone who gets very irritable and grumpy very, very quickly, and sometimes can really bring a mood down. Sometimes I really just shut down and withdraw into myself, and I'm cross and grumpy for no good reason. And I had always again seen that as this really, really negative thing. I'm being such a drain on everybody's energy, until I had this realisation that I can be both. I can be someone who cheers up a room, and I can also be someone who is quite grumpy. Some days I'll be one, some days I'll be the other, some days I will be a strange combination of both, and that is who I am, and it doesn't make me a negative person to have in people's lives. So I guess that's kind of the main message I want to share, is that when you're trying to be nice to yourself and boost how you're feeling, don't just focus on talking up all of your good qualities, because good in inverted commas, because we're taking off the judgments of them, but you are a mix of everything, and some days you won't have those qualities that you have decided are your best ones, whether you just don't have them that day because you're in a bad mood, or you're tired, or you're on your period, or whatever, or maybe you slowly drop some of those characteristics as you change and evolve throughout your life, and you don't want to have your self-worth based on those things because you are an ever-changing person. You are an up and down person. I haven't been holding this, I just realised the mood has been way too heavy. Let's get the comp mug back involved. When I first wrote myself the letter and was taking the antidepressants, and once I'd got past the first few weeks where I was feeling like very strange and spacey and I started to feel really good, I at first thought, this is it, I'm feeling back to life, things are going to be better now, my life is going to be better now and calmer now. And I felt really, really good for a few days. And then I was cooking one evening and the recipe wasn't working. It wasn't doing what I thought it was going to do from the piece of paper. And I got a very typical reaction for me, which was to get stressed and say, I'm just going to throw the whole thing away. Luckily, RG came into the room at that moment and was like, no, don't worry. You don't need to throw it away. And he came in and fixed what had gone wrong. So that was all fine. And for a moment I felt really disappointed in myself because I was like, oh, that's such a typical Emma reaction to overreact, and I thought I was feeling more balanced and calm now. But then I realised that's the point. Emma, the entire human person that I am, does overreact to things like that sometimes. Sometimes I'm the person who throws the whole meal in the bin when I didn't need to. And I guess what's changed for me is that in the past, I would have then spiraled into this whole agonizing over the fact I'd overreacted and wishing I could be different and wishing I could be calmer. Whereas this time I realized that's just quite funny. I'm the person who sometimes overreacts. And if that's something that I want to work on, because I don't want to be like wasting food, throwing it away, then I can reframe it. Instead of saying, Emma, I need to become someone who doesn't overreact, I can instead look at this specific situation and say, I want to develop more confidence about cooking. And that is something I can work on. It doesn't have anything to do with a judgment of me as a person. It doesn't have anything to do with my character and deciding whether it's right or wrong. I can just say, I want to work on getting more confidence at cooking. And while I'm on that journey, there's going to be times when I overreact, throw the whole meal into the bin. Well, that's just the person that I am. I said this story to my sister and she was like, that's what the main character in the movie would do. It's the calm best friend who comes in and fixes it because the best friend in the movie doesn't need to be fully fleshed out as a human. The main character would definitely throw it in the bin because she's clumsy, she's angry, she's grumpy, she's a flawed person, and you are the main character. I have no idea if this video is making sense. Motivational speaking is really not my speciality, so I think I'm going to wrap this up. Hopefully I have got the vague point across, which is just to say, love yourself, love all of yourself, but more importantly, accept yourself. You do not need improving. You can't be improved. The person that you are got yourself to where you are today with all of the flaws, with all of the bits that you don't like about yourself. You still made it here, and there is absolutely nothing about yourself that you need to change or fix or improve. The only thing you need to do for yourself is accept yourself. Okay, let's read this fucking letter. Don't look at me. Dear me, you are doing great the way you are. No improvements needed. You know all those parts of you that you think are holding you back so much? They got you exactly where you are. All of them. Even the ones you're really, really ashamed of. I'm not ashamed of you at all. I still can't look at you. You are sweet and shy and funny and grumpy and clever and muddled and kind and spoiled and lively and lazy and confident and anxious, and you really love your life the way you're living it. None of your contradictions need fixing. This road we're on has been really fun so far, and I can't wait to keep adventuring with you. Oh my god, I'm so embarrassing! So hopefully that was helpful at all, and not just complete rambling nonsense. But to anyone out there who is feeling low, if you're feeling like you're alone in that pit of despair, you are not at all. I have been there with you for a long time. There are other people in there with you now, and there is a way out. And we can all slowly climb up together towards the light. Why can I not stop talking in metaphors that don't make sense? If you want to know who my specific therapist was, send me a message. And if I think you have to be in like a certain area of the country to work with her, I believe. I don't really know how it works, but if you do want to know my specific therapist, then do message me and I will, I guess, ask her if I'm allowed to pass on her details. I'm embarrassed now, so I'm gonna go away. Okay, bye!
Why does it hurt so bad? So bad to lose something I never had.